Welcome to what could be the last race in the GT4s on the Nürburgring for a short while. Let's get straight into it. So on the run up to the start line, as you can see I'm warming my tyres up, we are starting in 9th place. However, I wasn't too worried. I know the Nürburgring like the back of my hand. I'll not talk too much on this one. However, I will go over a few things that I think will help you too on the Nürburgring. As you can see, after a few lefty-righties, I double check in my mirror to make sure that the guy behind isn't too close for me to start and put the brake on. I'm kind of just, trying to lock in the heat from the lefty-righties. A few hard brakes, a few harsh accelerations, it helps lock in the heat that you're building up. As always on the Nürburgring, if there's going to be an accident at the start, it's on the last corner before you actually start the race. So get ready for a few backfists and Hadoukens. I see the chaos, I straighten up the car and I floor it to try and take advantage. Advantage taken, time to focus on the top 3 already. Appreciating that my tyres are still not at optimal temperatures, I do continue with caution. I close a major gap between me and the Porsche. This massively helps me out. Did you see the smoke? P1 just did a major backfist into the barrier. P1 out of the race, it's just us in the top 3. Taking advantage of the Porsche's complementary slipstream, we managed to take P2 safely. I don't always drop to 5th on the hump, just before that bend. I wasn't yet overly confident that my tyres was at optimal temperatures, so I kind of panicked, played it safe, knowing that I can still catch P1. There's not much point going hell for leather. Realistically, all I need to do is close the little gap between me and P1, catch yet another complementary slipstream of him, and just wait for the opportune window. Right now the pressure was off. I was driving the car around 80 to maybe 90% and I was closing the gap quite comfortably. And as you'll see a little bit later on in the race, there's a little bit of the track that I know a little bit better than P1 and it really helps me close this gap even further. I get a poor exit out of that corner, but still I'm not too worried. Again, I'm close enough just to catch a little bit of a complementary slipstream. It's important here to drop into 5th before you take the left bend. What this does is helps you plant more weight onto the front wheels and gradually start to put back on the accelerator. In turn, you're going to understeer a lot less and get a much better exit. You may enter a tad slower, but you'll exit much faster. Closing the gap on this bend, I decided to lift and not push my luck coming up to carousel. Again, like I said, I felt as though I knew the ring better than this guy, so I wasn't going to push my luck. His exit off the carousel is more optimal. I was purposely trying to make the gap a little bit wider, but in all honesty, I didn't expect the gap to get quite as wide as it does. Still, no harm done, eh? We're approaching the part of the track that I know very well, and there's a particular bend that really does help me close the gap to get a window to start an overtake. Look carefully here. Notice how I slow down to keep tight at the left. My opponent goes wide. Just look at how much I cut off this corner in comparison to P1. And in turn, I get a massive speed boost out of the exit, giving me the perfect window to initiate an overtake. Mission is, let's say, 95% complete. What's left to do is to pull away from who is now in P2 as much as possible, so to make sure that we don't give him a slipstream on the last long straight on the ring. It turned into Mr. Blippy there for a second. I have the camera overhead, just so you can see the gap that I'm creating from P2. He's in a slipstream, but just not quite enough to close enough of a meaningful gap. Credit where credit is due, to be honest. He does kind of keep up with me for quite a while. He loses any chance that he had of a slipstream here. He takes that corner too tight and loses too much exit speed. Unfortunately, this is where the gap just gets too big for him to close. He makes a little error here, and throughout the rest of the race I sort of just make a 10-second gap between me and P2. P3 catches him up, but this guy does manage to keep a hold of P2. Congratulations to him, I guess. Let's have a go in the passenger seat then. As you can see, I can start and chill now. All I've got to do is finish the race. P2's nowhere to be seen. Coming up to the last couple of corners, I make an almost fatal error here. Fortunately, I make a good recovery. Having a big enough gap between me and P2 didn't really matter, except for the one instant point that pick up. Yeah, try and avoid those big curbs. Here he is again, look, P2. Fortunately, it's safe to say he's getting zero slipstream from himself. Across the line, P1. If you want to see these sorts of races live, make sure to sub. That way you'll be notified the next time I'm live. Also in the near future, you'll also be notified when I go live in real life on track in the car that I'm building. It's the MX-5, it's not quite ready yet, however, it's going to be a little beast when it's ready. Catch you in the next one. Thank you ever so much for watching.